How you doing, everybody? Geezer and John, how you guys doing? Oh, thanks. Funny thing happened about the 10K subscribers is that after it hit 10K, it's it went up by hundreds, and it took several days to go from 9,800 to it took weeks to go from 9,800 up to 10,000. And then just yesterday, it just jumped up 200 more. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. So I just, I just have been doing the same thing. And I suppose they get all kinds of things. Well, if you do this and you go, yeah, like that or something, I don't know. Hi, JB. How you doing? How things in Texas? Where in Texas are you from? Hey, Jeffrey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Watch Habit. It's happy Sunday to you too. Hey, Abdul. How are you? Jeffrey. Oh man. Oh, that's right. Cupcake. That's Johnny Cupcake. I'm dangerous. Watch Habit. Hey, Mr. Gubby, Houston. Okay. A few years ago, I was in Houston at a conference. I was my wife's from Texas, and I was down there, and I was at a conference there, and at the University of Houston. It was sort of fun. Mr. Gumby, good afternoon to you too, and Tomas Longa. How you doing? Hi, ZL. Oh, hey Howard, how are you, Howard? Do viewers subscribe because of the Watts content of the perpetual beret fashion show? What is it with the beret? A beret is simply a nice, comfy hat. If I had I would have done perhaps worse or better with a baseball cap. I just like this. These are nice and soft, and they're really, really nice. Okay, what's up? Hey, David. Tennessee. Hey, Tennessee. I got your PM Tennessee. I just got it before I started, so I'll take a look at it. Hey, Peter. How are things in Germany? Speaking of Germany, I got on my German watch. I realized I only had one German watch, and this is it, my Langenheim Frederick II. Um, well, I sort of have use of the Ralph Lang watch until we got it for an extra month. There was a guy in Rick who had some really nice collections that he sent in for review, so he has to do. I said okay. Uh, Speak a little German. I like this watch. I don't speak my German. I have a German grandfather, but I never learned how to speak it. I have a German grandmother and a German grandfather and a Swedish grandmother. So I'm a and English. So I'm ruined. Okie doke. Well, listen. Today, what I wanted to talk about, I found a watch that I'd always liked. It's by Chanel, and it's called Monsieur Chanel. I'm no better at French than I am at German, so anyway, I I offend all languages, even though I really do try. Okay, so this one, the interesting thing about this was that the it's a retrograde minute with a jumping hour. That's I don't know what it looks like. It looks like my looking at it looks like it says 51 instead of 12 at the bottom. I don't know what you guys are seeing. I don't know whether you get the mirror image like I do or not. But anyway, this was one I really liked, and I thought, wow, this is sort of cool. Now it's got the small seconds in the middle, which uh, to me is okay. It jams things up, but this apparently this design that I think we were talking about it the other day. This is by Gerald Genta, and it, you know, like how did he know what we were doing ahead of time? This is what we hope to get with the retrograde movement with the jumping hour from Agonor. Now, the retrograde, I saw so many retrogrades, and they were all done by Agonor. This one, I don't know if you can see this or not, but over on the let me see, this everything is backwards here. I think I think this is, yeah, I think these are uh, no, there it is. Okay, it's on this side. Right here, you have the jumping seconds, or the retrograde seconds, I should say. But that little thing goes down to the bottom and then pops up again, like it just did then. Anyway, so I've always associated it with Agonor. Now uh, this one by Gerald Genta from the 70s, I think, no, the 70, 80s or 90s. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was in that era, came out with this one. And what I had been really interested in was that it was pretty much reported uh, by Elizabeth Dewar that Gerald Genta was not a watchmaker. Well, he was, but he wasn't like F.P. Journe or one of these guys that designed and made his own movements. And so I thought, well, I wonder where he got this from. And so I was poking around, and this the movement in here is from an, a very common ETA, and I didn't write it down, but I looked it up on the ETA site, eta.ch, a great site to know about because it has all of the information about the ETAs. However, I did find out that, and I hope I'm right about this, is that it is the clone of it is a Solida SW. I'm pretty sure it's 300 dash 300. Okay, so but it doesn't look a thing like this, and so I'm sort of thinking, well, how did they do this? Well, one of the things on this Solida 300 and the ETA, whatever it was that they had a date window, and I was wondering, well, maybe what they did was that they re-geared it somehow, or they added a module to it, and so they ended up with the jumping hours at the bottom. And I haven't seen this watch. Um, it's another temptation I've got, but I'd really like to know how they did it. I think they did the part of it with they did the jumping hour with a disc, okay, and the disc turned, but it had to pop like that, or it may have been like some days they sort of slowly come into the window. I don't know, but it's fun to find out about. um all right, hey, GMT master, how's it going? Lee, how are you? I have trouble with English sometimes. Listen, Lee, your English is better than any of my other foreign languages, so I have more than trouble. Um, Hello, Geezer. It looks like a drawing that you have last time in your video. I think it was a drawing from a designer. Oh, I have that one. Yeah. No, no, that was, yeah, there. Let me see if I can find it. I think I still have it here. Um, Let me see. Now, this one is the one that was sort of the starting point as far as when we started talking about this. would say all they'd have to do with this movement is take out one of the dates and Bob's your uncle. That would be the kind of retrograde we could have. Let me see if I can find this other one. I've been playing around ever since I got my color printer working. Um, Here, by the way, is the movement behind the time here and time there. And as you can see, they use two discs for the jumping hour, and so pop one of those discs off, and what else is there to do? Probably a lot. Now, is this the one you were talking about, Peter? Because this was one of the ideas that came up. Um, what we were had talked about earlier was something. This is simply putting it on an enamel, like a cream colored enamel, and making it really a very sort of open watch, and then have a big old brigade hand on it, and then a window at 6 o'clock for the jumping hour. So that was the one that we had talked about. But anyway, so that's where we are. Yeah, okay. So that was the one, and what this is by Gerald Genta, which was the stuff that I was reading about. It was like it was his idea in the first place, but he didn't apparently uh, do the other part of it, namely he didn't make the movement. Now he may have made the module that was sort of, even though he had an ETA base, the modules he put in were his own. I don't know. Here, this was turned out to be really interesting. This Chanel, Monsieur Chanel, is the movement was by he helped develop it. Was, let me see if I got the Roman uh, Guider. Okay, so you have this is a Chanel started doing their in-house stuff, but apparently they've got some of the top designers helping them. Of course, they own, I don't know, what is it, 10 or 20% of FP Journe now. So there's a lots of stuff, really interesting stuff going on away from a certain sort of an older mainstream. All right, is that you hear so much about um, oh well, like Rolex and Patek Philippe and Omega, and for the German watches, you hear Elanga and Glashütte Original and so forth. And those are fine watches and watch companies. But some of the other stuff that's going on is really interesting, and it's got nothing to do with them. And that's sort of what is sort of fun to discover. Okay. Um, okay, 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 okay. Where are we now? Hi, NS. Something. How you doing? But a drawing. I think you gave a piece to someone who draws it. No, a price to someone who draws it. Um, well, we with the case, the people from Wooten Lonnen and Kalen wanted like a CAD kind of drawing, not just and for so that they could make one that would fit the movement. So that's what we're working for. Is today Victoria Day? Happy Victoria Day. Hi, old bud. My only retrograde is my Cartier Roton retrograde day and night. Ooh, that sounds interesting. It sounds like a really interesting watch. I've heard of the I'm gonna say it wrong, probably Rotonde, or the Roton retrograde, but I didn't. realize that I heard of the just a rotund part. Okay, a drawing with a pencil. Is that not right? I I've done some drawings with pencils, but well, they're not pencils; they're pens. But I don't know if we've had them here or not. Oh yes, yes, I know there was one. Really, I really liked it, but it was very, yeah, it just was one of the ones we had. I don't know if I have a picture of it or not. I know the one you're talking about, though. Hey, Lim, how you doing? I recently got interested in these jumping hour watches too. You heard of reservoir watches from Switzerland? Yeah, I have. I don't know that much about them, but I have heard of them. Lim, do you know who does their movements? My cupcake T-shirt. This is my skull and cupcake, or cupcake and bones. Um, this is from my wife and I were on vacation. Wow, getting a few years ago now. It must have been ah going on probably around 10 years ago. We were at this little place called Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts, and I saw somebody with this shirt, and I said, "Where did you get that shirt?" I just I liked it, and they said, "Oh, we got a pop up," and of course, I had no idea what a pop up was. Well, a pop up that they were talking about is that sometime in the middle of the night, the store opens up in a one that was used for something else during the day, and so I guess they leased it or something, and so we went there, and there was this big line of people waiting to get T-shirts from this outfit called Johnny Cupcake. He opened a store in, I think he's originally from Boston, but he opened up a shop in London as well. I don't know if they still have the London store. You know, a whole lot of stuff has changed. Um, but yeah, he goes by Johnny Cupcake, and this was his sort of his logo. So I'm wearing a logo. Okay, I'm guessing ETA with their added complication or module could be completely wrong. Yeah, that's there's a lot of stuff. I'm very quickly going from ETA to Salida. Apparently, a lot of people say, "Oh, Salida is a cheap version of ETA." I don't think so. Um, they're a version of it. I don't know if they're any cheaper because they had a contract with ETA to make identical movements with the overflow that ETA couldn't keep up with. And so ETA gave them all of the specs and everything for making watches that would cover ETA when they couldn't fulfill orders. So their movements, I think, sort of from now on, is that I've been trying to find out what is the equivalent. Two of the most popular ones, both from ETA and now from Salida, are the SW 200 and the SW 300. 2824 with a module consistent. That sounds about right. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Lim, I check to see what the 2824-2 is. If it's the if it's the Salida SW 200 or 300, then it's the same one that I was looking at. Okay, all right. So anyway, still have well, I didn't expect. I'd hoped to hear from uh, Agenor by the weekend because I sent him an email on Thursday night, so he said he'd have it early Friday and was hoping that he could get back by then. Um, okay, great. And the patented module. This is what I think a lot of them are. They have a patented module. Uh, this these two, this one and this one, are really, I don't know what the differences in the retrograde modules are. There was a thing that I found. Doggone it! I should have kept the URL on it. It was a it was about retrogrades. It's a big story about retrogrades, and they had all of the different retrogrades, and but then they were showing how retrogrades work. Now it was either retrogrades or jumping hours, or it could have been both. But what they have, one thing I think was the drawing that I did the other day. You guys, you remember that of the snail cam? Everybody remember the snail cam? It sounds like it sounds like a camera watching a snail called the snail cam, but it's not. It has a certain snail-like properties to it, and as it turns, it boom thing comes down. But they had some other ones. They had one that they were showing how they were showing the gears moving at their on the gear train at the regular. Oh, rats! Hang on, I got to turn that off. Um, yeah, there. They were showing all of the gears, turning like they would normally with the hour hand and a minute hand and a second hand, and those are the three main gears in the gear train, and they call them one, two, and three or something like that. Anyway, but then they had another one that was going around, and the timing on it, and they simply had one kicker in there, so it would go around, and these things would turn several times, and then it would go around and wham with the kicker, and then go around some more. But it was they did a video of it, and it showed all of these different kinds of devices that watchmakers had for retrograde and possibly for a jumping hour. I think what am I looking for? With a jumping hour, I think it works. I mean, it's set up very much like a, so you can see it or not, like a date window. Okay, it's bigger than this one, but instead of a date, they simply have an hour in there, um, like they had. Let me see. I've done it. Oh, I can't find it. I just had it. Maybe I put it in the back. That's what I did. Here it is. They simply have the disc, and the disc go popping around. The actual jumping mechanism you can't really see from this. This is the front side of the AGH 60249. I couldn't find a picture of the back side because on the back side I could get a little better idea of the movement and so forth. Thanks, Geezer. I'm just wild about my Harry Winston. Um, okay, so that's sort of an update on it, and the in some respects, I suppose you could the whole idea of having the the retrograde at the top, and I thought that was our idea. It's been around, and it really goes back to Gerald Genta and Gerald Genta, his brand. Apparently, he sold the whole brand to Bulgari, and they did some different stuff with it, some of which he didn't particularly like, and other stuff that I guess he did, and some of the stuff that he actually designed himself. Okay, so what else is up? Anything new with you guys that is worth looking into? What's the most important watchmaker in the USA? I don't know. I'd probably say RGM. Um, because he really is doing watchmaking. He has his own movement and so forth. There are a couple other guys. One guy in Oregon, he's over in the eastern Oregon, sort of east. He was not on the coast, in other words, and he's been doing some stuff. But I don't know. What do you guys think? That's a good question. Who is the most important American watchmaker? Most of them. I mean, the big ones like Hamilton and all of the other ones. They were stolen. They were sold to the Swiss. Yeah, John. Those. Yeah, that 28, 24. That thing has been, you sort of like a Model T. They used to take a Model T Ford and they would just do everything with it, and just sort of all kinds of modifications on it. And I think that the 28, 24 is the same. Um, what about Weiss? Weiss, is he the guy in L.A., Tennessee? Uh, his stuff is sort of, I'm not sure really how much of his stuff is his stuff or how much of it is still sort of modified something else. Waltham, Roger Waltham, we have a son who used to live in Waltham, and I'd go up there, and Waltham, they changed the Waltham factory into an apartment house. And so I think they call it the Watch Factory, or they have some name like that for it. But unfortunately, Waltham is no longer with us. During the back in the '60s, when they were, during the space race to get a man on the moon, I learned recently that Waltham was involved with engineers at MIT, and they went to Waltham to get information about mechanical movements. Now, remember, back in the '60s, the computers were still pretty big. Your smallest ones were about the size of a broom closet, and they wanted to make things a lot smaller so they could take it up with them into space. And so they were using certain amount of mechanical uh, devices for certain kind of timing and clocking and so forth. And so they went. So Waltham was involved with them on that, and they went to Waltham, the MIT literally rocket scientists were working with them. So Waltham to me is a wonderful one to collect. I'm not much into vintage, but a Waltham is one that I wouldn't mind having at all. Just like my old mono retro Pont Beauvais. RGM is okay, but feels like he is stagnated. Yeah, I know what you mean, RS something. That's how come I hesitated. Roland Murphy, who is RGM, has he's done some interesting stuff. I really like his core of engineer style, and I think, and then he's taken some older movements, really from Hamilton and some places like that, and he's created some of his some watches, and uh, but I know what you mean. Most important in the U.S. is, in my opinion, is Vortic. Oh, but tell me about Vortic because I don't know about them. Hi, Brian. Um, Bud's getting me information about Vortic, but let me respond to Brian's question. Corneth watches is like, if to me, if you had someone say, "Look, I want choose one person to do the finishing on your watch," well, it would be number one would be Marco Lang because he'd put a big diamond on on top of the um, balance shaft. But the second would be Corn. I'm probably saying his name terribly. Um, Corneth, something like that. Anyway, his stuff is really interesting. He and Turby and some of the others take they'll take an ETA or a Solid or something like that and really fix it up with a lot of engraving and doing some, you know, frosting it with silver and gold kind of finishing. It looks really nice. So that's my opinion of Brian of, and I can't say it wrong, right. I can say it wrong. I'm really good at that. But the German watchmaker called Korneth. I think it's how you say it, something like that. Okay, what else is new, guys? Vice makes field watches with ETA movements, I think. I think GMT Master, I think you're right. That sounds about right. Is he the guy in LA that you Weiss? I want a Waltham 50 Fathoms. Do they have them? Geezer? Is there such a thing as a Waltham 50 Fathoms? I didn't know that. Anyway, well, listen, guys, my time is up. I'll be back at 4:30 or 4 o'clock. I mean, at the for the after. I mean, 4 o'clock my time. Some of you, I know it's late at night. That's how come we have to have it early in the morning. So for anyone who can come, everyone's welcome. Take care, and as they say, hasta mañana or hasta luego in this case.